Tonight, our special transmission as the US warns Israel's actions in Lebanon could involve Russia in a regional escalation. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Aisha Ashraf. Today is the 271st day since Israel started targeting Palestinians indiscriminately. Israeli airstrikes continue to kill Palestinians and displace thousands of civilians in the Gaza Strip. Israeli airstrikes on the Al Zaytun neighborhood have killed at least 17 Palestinians. The Palestinian news agency reports airstrikes on Khan Yunis and Rafah have resulted in 8 deaths. 30 Palestinians have been injured. In the Shuja'iyah neighborhood, residents face ongoing drone attacks and intense artillery shelling for the 6th consecutive day. The northern areas of the Nusayrat refugee camp have also been targeted. Airstrikes have destroyed 2 houses, killing 2 Palestinians, including a child. Hundreds of patients have been forced to evacuate the European hospital in Khan Yunis. Refugees in the tent camps in Khan Yunis are also fleeing the area. This comes as the Israeli army has ordered the civilians in the area to evacuate. The mass evacuation in Khan Yunis coincides with fierce fighting and tank operations in Rafah and Shuja'iyah. Palestinian Education Ministry reports 8,572 students have been killed in Gaza. 100 have been killed in the occupied West Bank. The death toll from Israel's war continues to rise at an alarming rate. At the time of writing, at least 37,900 Palestinians have been killed. 80,060 have been injured. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered an investigation into the release of Dr. Mohammed Abu Salmiya, the director of Al-Shifa Hospital in Gaza City. Netanyahu has called the decision a severe mistake and an ethical failure. Abu Salmiya was arrested during an Israeli raid on the hospital last November. He has been released along with 54 other Palestinians due to prison overcrowding. Abu Salmiya alleges mistreatment and torture of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. He says during custody, guards broke his finger. He says he was beaten with batons and attacked by dogs. Abu Salmiya says medical staff is also responsible for abuse and neglect as well. They provide poor medical care, and as a result, the limbs of some detainees are amputated. Abu Salmiya says captives are severely underfed. They survive on nothing more than a loaf of bread per day for months. Abu Salmiya's release follows months of conflict during which Israel targeted numerous Gaza health facilities. Israeli forces claimed the facilities were being used by Palestinian resistance groups. Al-Shifa Hospital was raided by Israeli forces in November, leaving a trail of death and destruction behind. The bodies of at least 179 people, including 7 babies, were buried in a mass grave on the hospital grounds. The World Health Organization estimates Israel has raided more than 100 health facilities during its 9-month war. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has expressed skepticism regarding Israel's claims of reducing its offensive intensity in Gaza. This comes as Israel's statements suggest scaling down operations and targeting military objectives in Rafah. Blinken says ongoing military actions are causing significant civilian casualties. He says the U.S. is discussing post-war Gaza plans with regional allies. A ceasefire proposal unveiled by the U.S. in May appears to have stalled. U.S. intelligence sources have expressed concerns over potential Russian escalation in response to an Israeli offensive against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Recent reports suggest that Russian President Vladimir Putin has sought Saudi Arabia's approval to supply Yemen's Houthis with cruise missiles. So far, Saudi Arabia has been blocking Russian missile deliveries to Houthis. In January, the Kremlin's top Middle East official Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Bogdanov received a Houthi delegation in Moscow. Analysts fear such moves could deepen Iran's influence and solidify military cooperation with Russia across the region. US officials are warning any Israeli action could strengthen Iran's ties with Russia's axis of resistance. They say it would complicate regional stability. Russia has criticized a US-backed three-phase ceasefire plan for Gaza at the United Nations. Vasily Nebenzia, Russia's UN ambassador, says the plan has insufficient details for implementation. He has expressed concerns over the Security Council's adoption of the resolution. Nebenzia says there is a need for an immediate ceasefire. He says the US proposal does not adequately address this pressing need. On June 10th, the US-backed ceasefire proposal gained 14 votes in favor. Russia had abstained from voting. Nebenzia says Russia did not vote because the resolution lacks clarity on objectives and implementation. Nebenzia also questioned Israel's commitment to the ceasefire plan. He says recent statements by Israel contradict their purported support. Nebenzia has urged for clear measures to ensure effective ceasefire implementation. A Florida-based tech entrepreneur has been exposed as a key figure behind the Shirion Collective. An investigation by The Guardian reveals the collective as a pro-Israel disinformation network aiming to influence public opinion on Israel's war on Gaza. The report says Daniel Linden has orchestrated activities that harass free Palestinian activists and offer rewards for revealing their identities. Linden is known for co-writing an OnlyFans guidebook. OnlyFans is an internet content subscription service based in the United Kingdom. The service is used primarily by sex workers who produce pornography. The network operates across the US, UK, and Australia. Shirion reportedly manages crowdfunding and social media through Linden. The collective's controversial actions have sparked congressional criticism and global media attention. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has expelled Goldie Ghamari from the Progressive Conservative caucus. Ford cites serious lapses in judgment. The decision comes after Ghamari virtually met with Tommy Robinson. Robinson is an Islamophobe, a convicted criminal, and one of UK's most prominent far-right activists. He faces several charges in Canada. Ghamari's virtual meeting was criticized by the National Council of Canadian Muslims. Following the criticism, Ford expressed disappointment over Ghamari's decision to provide Robinson a platform. Ghamari, who has Iranian roots, defends her meeting. She says the meeting focused on listing Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist entity in Canada. Thank you for watching. Our news is produced by Muslim Network TV, which is a not-for-profit organization. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on our broadcast or visit muslimnetwork.tv to donate now, so we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad.